quite a few, and it's almost been a half hour. I at least ought to see if I can clear out some of these questions. A lot of them take long answers. I'll try to make them short. First of all, let me start with Obamacare. We have voted 40 times to either repeal all or part of Obamacare in the House of Representatives. So those who say we've done nothing, I think we can at least say we've taken a stand. The Senate has done, some, but not all. Just to give you an idea, of those 40 votes, 7 of those have become law. They have been passed by the Senate, and they've been signed by the President of the United States. And they all were part of removing things out of that act. Somebody was asking me where I stand on Obamacare. I'm not sure which act you're talking about. Is it the one that was passed by the Democrat House and Senate and signed by the governor a while back? Or is it the one that the President has made it since he started doing a bunch of directives?
Yes.
I don't know which one they're talking about. So let me tell you this. Here's where I stand on just in healthcare personally. When I got to Washington, I did not accept the subsidized health care. I buy mine just like everybody else. So when Obamacare comes along, it doesn't have really the effect on me. The decision on changing the law as it stands now to allow the United States Congress to actually participate in the subsidies that they're getting now, even though it's forbidden by that law that passed, was done in a secret meeting with the President and the Democrat senators who actually proposed it. Now, I'll get to that. These are not executive orders. Please understand. I know that's a name that's known, and so people blame all these things on executive orders. There's something different, and I did something about it a couple weeks ago, and I hope the Senate will take it up too. There are laws. Underneath those laws, there are regulations. Those regulations are put out and in a lot of cases allowed for by the department to clarify how the law is going to be enforced. And it's not something new to this administration. It's done over and over again. There are procedures. You hear those. There's time for public comment. People make comments, and then they publish the final rule, which has the force of law. There is something under that, which most members of Congress don't know about until I made it known to them here a few days ago. There's something called directives. So if I read to you what was done for the members of Congress or for the businesses who were now exempt from the basically the tax that they were going to have to pay because they did not cover their employees if they're large businesses and so forth. All of these changes that have been made, including the bypassing of the cap on out-of-pocket expenses, which started at $2,000. Now it can be anything you want it to be, or anything the insurance companies want it to be. All those things were not done by executive order. They were done by what they call guidance documents. And in the state of Florida, I served a long time in the legislature there. They had working papers, which were underneath the regulations. And back before we gained control, they rewrote the laws with these working papers. That's the same thing that's happening in Washington. They're taking these directives. And most members of Congress don't know about them. I knew about them, and so I waited, and along came a bill that dealt with similar part of that. I eventually convinced them that this amendment should be allowed to be put on, which would take all the directives, the guidance documents, and bring them back to Congress to be approved. And if they're not approved, then they can't go into effect. Now, that amendment ended up passing here 2 weeks ago. And that bill ended up passing and going to the Senate. I hope the Senate takes it up. It is a very, very important issue. Because when I explained it to the chairman who was offering the bill, you know what he asked me? What's a guidance document? And yet it is changing. Yeah, I mean, I guess the things that are publicized are the ones in the Affordable Care Act. But they change all kinds of things. Not through necessarily executive orders. He does a few of those, but not as many as they do guidance documents. So you remember those words, because if you read the story about how Congress ended up getting a benefit that they were forbidden to get, it is a butcher job on the statutes of this country. It was awful. They took, it was almost like one of my former opponents used to be able to twist my words around and leave some of them out in order to do me in. And that's exactly what they did. They took a provision that was supposed to prevent it and twisted it so it would actually approve it. And I'm sorry that that happened. But that happened in a meeting I didn't get to go to. And I acted by passing something. I can't pass anything in the Senate. And I can't make the president sign it. But I do know that guidance documents are being used to circumvent the law. And it's something that's been not just for this administration over and over, but they have used it, in my opinion, to misguide instead of guide. And that's one of them. As far as the law itself, like I said, I voted 40 times to get rid of part of all of it. And I'll do it again. You know, I'm in. So whatever it is we can do to stop that law, I want to do it. I think we. I believe that law is bad for America. And the reason it is because you know it's affordable care. It's not affordable. It's not a care. It's really not an act anymore. It's a suggestion. The president takes what he wants and disregards other things. So I mean, there are bills out there, there are amendments out there being talked about. Please don't get sucked into the fact that we can just wave a magic wand and all of a sudden it goes away. It's going to be difficult to do. That's why all-out repeal is the best option. So we've done twice in the House. We have passed an all-out repeal of that law. It repeals everything. It repeals the money. It repeals the statute, the underlying statute. It repeals the rules and regulations and so forth. It repeals the entire thing. And so anyway, just know I'm in on that. There were some questions about the IRS.